Knock, knock. Who's there in the name of Beelzebub?
Oh,
Here's a farmer that hanged himself on the expectation of plenty coming time. Have napkin enow about you. Here you'll sweat for it. Knock, knock. Who's there in the other devil's name? Faith. Here's an equivocator that should swear on both scales against either scale, who committed treason enough for God's sake, yet could not equivocate to heaven. Oh, come in, equivocator. That was from Macbeth, 1602.
right.
Uh, Spoken by a hungover porter. Act 2, Scene 3. There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
There's no escaping from it now.
Yeah.
And that is possibly the first knock knock joke to be invented.
All
If
right.
you are sort of into humour and having a good time, right?
Oh,
And I imagine that after he delivered that, that people were rolling about in the aisles.
well, yeah. Yes.
I think I think you had to be there at the time. So,
Yeah. That's
in 1929, in a children's game called Buff, a child says after hitting his stick on the ground, "Knock knock, who's there?" Buff. What says Buff? Buff says Buff to all his men, and I say Buff to you again. And I think he goes round. I think it's a version of Blind Man's Buff or the
oh yeah.
original Blind Man's Buff. And he goes round and hits people with his stick.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? He's
Right.
blindfolded, and that was in 1929. Another reference to Knock Knock.
Mm.
Knock Knock, who's there? Uh, in the children's game.
Yeah.
In 1936, Bob Dunn is regarded to be the inventor of the modern knock knock joke, as we know them,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
right? One round about that time, a knock knock joke is knock knock,
Who's there?
Arthur,
Arthur who?
our thermometer, and everybody laughs at that one.
Yeah.
That's one of the sort of round about this time.
Yes.
So all this brings me to this. In 1886,
Yeah.
the shop Tam Shepherd's opened in the city of Glasgow, and it's been bringing many a schoolboy guffaw, you know, for 132 years, well before the modern knock knock joke or the game of buff, which
Okay.
I just mentioned. Whoopee cushions, fake beards, peppered chewing gum, black soap, the works.
All right. Then.
What we call in the trade as a joke shop.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Very much a dying breed of specialist shops, very much like the milliner shops of
Mm.
yesteryear, make the hat makers.
Yeah.
The hat makers started to die off when people stopped wearing hats, of course. It used to be that everybody used to have one. These
Yeah.
days, not so much.
Okay.
So anyway, schoolboy magicians would visit Tom Shepherd's trick shop over the years. But now that seems to be coming to an end. And just as the lady disappears from the cabinet, it seems that the Centurion joke shop will disappear from 33 Queen Street, Glasgow. The current owners gave the not so funny reason as exploding overheads and decaying infrastructure as the reasons for the demise. They said they will go online, which will not replace the feel, the smell, even the laughter heard in the shop for all of
Yeah.
those years.
Yeah.
The building, it seems, will be developed to become a students' hall of residence. Certainly the end of an era, which nobody seems to be smiling about. So this shop is actually the oldest joke shop in the world. And you would have thought that they might have had some sort of, I don't know, heritage foundation grant to keep the building viable it's costing them more to try and keep the building going than
Yeah.
more or less the value of the building, because they can only afford to do palliative things, and gradually it's not,
Yeah.
it's not going on. So they're going online like the rest. And many magicians in their early days used to go to this shop. Like I said, they started off
Yeah.
as schoolboys,
Yeah.
and grew up to be obliged to be magicians.
Yeah.
Online, it isn't the same as just passing in front of a shop
No.
and looking in the shop window and thinking, because it's a very much joke shops are very much an impulse buy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Novelty, really. Yeah.
you see something in the window, and
Yeah.
that'll get them going.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
know,
That's
and,
it. Yeah.
and you go inside, and unfortunately, the joke shop owner, who's seen it all,
Yeah.
uh, is, is not really forthcoming with the laughter,
Mm.
because he knows the joke already.
Yes.
But I just think it's a shame that something since 1886 is coming to an end,
Yeah.
because of monetary problems. And I know that businesses should begin, develop, and then die. I know. However, when it's part of a tradition of a community, there should be things that can be done to help them. I don't know, to help them survive, to help them middle along.
Yeah.
But that's the topic of this short and sweet. You got a bit of culture, a bit of
Yeah.
heritage, a bit of tradition, and a disaster at the,
Oh.
at
I'd,
the end.
I'd expect
It's
nothing.
like a Disney film.
Yeah. Disney disaster. There we go.
The
Yeah.
disaster at the end
Yeah.
is becoming a
Yeah.
speciality of Disney.
Yeah. Well, with regards to all the above mentioned topics, Steve, that
Yeah.
does not surprise. I wouldn't expect anything less from you on that one.
No.
Bringing in Shakespeare again, yeah. When we just talking about it, when I was at school, probably Shakespeare was of no interest. I developed a little bit of liking for Shakespeare afterwards when I matured a bit. Yeah, there's a lot of jokes in Shakespeare when you begin to realise. But yeah, now moving on to this. Yeah, traditions, ideas, um, everything is moving online. I mean, effectively, I'm an online trader now, but once upon a time I was in person. Yeah, doing what I do. It's people say moving with the times. I do understand it's nice to have tangible things, like going into a bookshop, feeling the books, not ordering off. Yeah, well, there's a lot of ones. I'm not going to start naming specific outlets. Yeah, there's still nothing compares with actually going in a bookshop and holding a book. I was having a conversation with a student the other day. Yeah, it's. I'm afraid it's the way things are. We all know that there's other things in the background with rates on properties, council rates, and everything else. And that's to, yeah, I don't think we're ticking to. I mean, when you sort of say local authorities or people help us, I think there's two things against this shop being helped. A, it's not local council's business. Yeah, they don't want to actually help any small businesses anymore. And B, it involves humour. So if you know your local authority people and everything else, that's one thing they do lack. Yeah,
More reason to protect it.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Somebody move in. I mean, it's evidently not making anything. I mean, and ultimately, it's a bit like years ago we had Woolworths in the UK, and that closed suddenly, almost overnight. In fact, my wife came on holiday to Brazil. When she went back, they closed. 2 weeks. She asked, because she used to like going into Woolworths. Don't think she bought anything. She just liked going in there, which was a shame. Is that a lot of people did the same.
Yes,
When
yes.
was the last time anyone bought anything from Woolworths?
I was going to say that doesn't help
Yeah,
Wolves very much.
no. I mean, they didn't know what they were at the end. I remember going in looking, buying records from Woolworths. Um, yeah, yeah. My mother had a Saturday job in Woolworths, London. Yeah. So I'm afraid these traditions die. It's not new. it's probably becoming more and more. Yeah, there's us doing podcasts online and trying to hopefully educate and hopefully entertain people as well.
Well, to be quite honest, I don't know any other way to broadcast to the world.
No, well, that's it. We've all got
Not,
this.
I'm not going to stand on the street corner screaming at the top of my lungs, hoping that somebody in Zimbabwe is going to hear me.
I don't think people live within the facility to pay much attention anyway. Yeah, yeah. Who noticed there's one more crazy man in the world at the moment?
That's that's how I managed to walk through life anonymously.
Yeah, yeah. All our viewing figures going up. But thank you to anyone who does watch, by the way. Yeah, yeah. Times are changing. I feel sorry for the owners, if family
Yeah.
businesses and all that. Family businesses are disappearing at probably a rate that I've never known before. And yeah, there's different reasons for that. I'm not going to blame administrations. I'm not going to blame anything else. It's our habits as well, our buying habits, our consuming habits. Um, use it or lose it is really the mantra on this one. So yeah,
In this case of the this particular shop, it
mm,
was voted the best shop in Glasgow
mm,
6 years ago.
mm,
You know? So it's quite a famous, it's a very famous shop in Glasgow.
yeah. Well, unfortunately, yeah,
Yeah.
notoriety does.
So was Woolworths. You're going to say,
Yeah, well, yeah, notoriety does it isn't everything, and past glories isn't everything. Um, I mean, yeah, you look, but in all honesty, in the UK now, I mean, we know this from Brazil as well. You walk along streets in Brazil, uh, everything's shuttered up. In the UK, the local high street where I come from, I haven't been there for years, but I mean, you can just look on a webcam and see it. It's closing down, shuttered things out of business, closing down sales, everything. Um, you can buy it's the same as a lot of other places. You can buy a mobile phone case or get a cup of coffee. Not much else now. Um, and we said before, people, if they want to keep these places alive, I mean, local councils don't help in a lot of the cases. They put expensive rates on the poor traders, the expensive parking. Yeah. Whether you like it or not, you might not like cars. Unfortunately, that's what people use. So you're not going to suddenly change a culture of people using cars, not using cars.
it's like they're deliberately trying to put a block between customer and business.
Well, again, this has been highlighted in my
So many
area,
times.
in the South End, and the local councillor saying, "Isn't this local Labour councillor saying, oh, it's such a shame. Well, you guys keep putting shit out of business," and then he goes quiet. Yeah. Well, and then it's like everyone keeps pointing, and then he goes back at 2 weeks, 3 weeks later. Look at this. Oh, we look the council trying to do everything we can. No, you're not. Um, yeah, I mean, okay, they've got to raise revenue and everything, but you raise revenue by encouraging people to go there and keep businesses open. Um, there's a spiral happening, and it's just not in the UK; it's around the world. Yeah, um, and
I think if it's not too late for Tam Shepherds, somebody needs to go inside, or some the owners need to take a video of the inside of the shop and try and capture on video the atmosphere of the shop and the front of the shop. And if they want to open the site online, then that video should be one of the first things you see when you
well,
when you enter their site.
yeah, but then at that point, it's a false impression because it's gone. I mean,
Well,
I believe
trying to,
Wolves are
it's
now
called
gone
a
online.
memory. It's
Yeah.
called a memory. It's called
Well, yeah, yeah,
capturing a
capturing.
memory.
I imagine they're probably doing that for their own personal reasons. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you put that in our history, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, very, very tragic. Don't know, yeah, it's not a unique case. Obviously, in this case, it's historical context.
Yeah.
Feel sorry for the owners. Evidently, they've had to adapt, and they probably don't want to do what they're having to do. And these things are confident. Yeah, that's employment as well. Shop staff go, depending on how many people they employ, and cleaners. And again, shops go down the high streets. That means less people going to cafes and local other outlets, and the whole thing just falls apart. And it doesn't matter if we're even talking about a 15-minute city.
Well,
Yeah.
from now on, there won't be any more giggling Glaswegians.
Were there ever any?
Were there ever any? Well, if there weren't, then this shop, it should have been closed a long time ago. I shouldn't say that because I feel really sad for the owner because of the heritage part of it.
Yeah, okay. Well, we extend our thing, and maybe, hopefully somebody will show them this.